Welcome to Spirits on Spirits, the podcast where we mix ghost stories with a little liquid courage. I'm Aiden.
And I'm Nate.
And together we'll dive into the eerie, the unexplained, and the downright terrifying, all while enjoying a drink or two. Each episode will explore haunted places, ghostly encounters, and paranormal mysteries, pairing them with the perfect cocktail to keep our nerves steady. So grab a glass, turn down the lights, and join us as we sip, shiver, and swap some spine-chilling stories. Because here at Spirits on Spirits, the only thing stronger than the ghosts are our drinks.
What's up, haunted homies? Welcome back to this week's episode of Spirits on Spirits. We are super excited for this week's episode. This is our 10th episode, the big 1-0, the first of hopefully many mile markers. This episode, we are coming to you from the international Dublin, Ireland.
Ireland!
I'm from Ireland.
I'm a leprechaun!
Yeah. From Dublin, Ireland. Yeah, we are super excited to be coming to you from Dublin, Ireland. Yeah, we're thinking every 10 we're going to go international. So this is the first of that kind of trend. So we are excited for that.
Super stoked
Super
to be
stoked.
going to my ancestral land.
Same. We are both as white and pale and as Irish as can be.
Indeed.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm super stoked.
Nice.
So I'll get into this week's drink real quick. So we are doing the Irish coffee. Super excited for this one. So it's gonna be a cup of coffee with heavy cream and a little bit of Jameson.
Nice.
Shall we clink?
Yeah, we shall. Cheers.
Cheers. That is a nice cup of joe.
Nice. Did you put Bailey's in it too?
I don't think so.
Oh,
wait.
you have Bailey's.
I do have Bailey's.
Yeah, why didn't you put Bailey's?
Our producer Dan made it.
Do you want to put Bailey's in it real quick?
No, I'll ride with it.
Okay, all right, and then the second one you can put Bailey's in.
Yeah.
There you go, because I do think that's a difference between... I do think there's different names for that. One's like dark, and then the other's creamy, or maybe I'm thinking espresso martinis.
Well, we're riding with the Baileyless.
There you go. And
Irish
then you
coffee.
do Bailey's on the next one. So,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about my story this week.
Nice.
It's an old Norse chapel.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's called St. Michan's Church. So it was originally built to serve the needs of Dublin's Viking population. Dude, so sick.
That's sick.
Over the centuries, it's evolved from a little wooden structure into a stone church, which was reconstructed in 1686.
Whoa. So we're talking long time ago.
Yeah, like before America even existed.
Wow.
As a country. That's the crazy thing about going international is like all of the like domestic places that we talk about. It's like, oh, it's got a super rich history. It was built in 1850.
Yeah.
But you go over there, it's like a whole nother ballgame.
Oh, I know. Yeah, like here's
we're talking like 1,000 years old in some cases. So
really damn old.
It holds some extraordinary stuff.
Ooh.
Beneath its foundation.
I like extraordinary stuff.
So it's a network of limestone vaults.
Whoa.
Which were used for interring.
Viking vaults?
It was used for interring some of Dublin's notable families.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
So the limestone keeps the vaults dry and cool, and it has preserved the bodies that are like down there.
Whoa.
Into a mummified state.
Jeez.
So there's like mummies under this church.
That's mummies? Irish mummies?
You never think about like European mummies.
No. Irish mummies underneath a Viking church.
Yeah.
Is crazy.
Yeah, a sentence you never thought you'd utter.
Nope. Never thought.
Um,
Never thought I'd cow.
for generations, visitors have what?
Never thought I'd get it because you said utter, so cow. Never thought I'd
Moo.
cow. All right. Word. Yeah.
For generations, visitors have come face to face with these haunting figures. So its bodies wrapped in the embrace of time. Some of them are over 800 years old.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
So tour guides, we should go on a tour of this place.
Oh, yeah.
This sounds sick. But tour guides speak of energies that'll shift without warning, which, duh. Like, you're down in mummy caves. You're going to have weird energy in there.
I guess, but I feel like that's weird, though. Like, energy, like, oh, I guess just because there's so much haunted, like, oh, the energy shifts in this place. And my story brings it up, too, and I think a lot of our stories have, like, what does that even mean? It's like one area is like happy, and then like it's like the next one's like I want to.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like the vibe.
I got you.
You just get bad vibes.
Yeah.
Or good vibes. I guess
Mhm.
it changes though.
Yeah.
So visitors will describe a sudden weight in the air, like someone or something is watching.
Whoa.
And then people report dizziness, temperature drops, and the distinct feeling of being followed through the crypts.
Jeez.
That
It's terrifying.
is terrifying. Being underground and feeling like you're being followed.
Yeah, that. No, thank you.
No bueno.
No bueno at all.
Yeah. Another frequently experienced phenomena is whispering, which comes out from nowhere
Nope.
and everywhere all at once.
Yeah, that's. Anytime like with like, I guess maybe this is an average adult fear, or not. I'll let you be the judge of that. But like, I think the older I get, the more afraid I get of like just going crazy someday, and then like hearing whispers would really throw me off.
Yeah, that's valid.
Yeah.
Damn. Now I'm feeling that way. You just put a thought in my mind.
Oh man, but it's just like yeah, like you're like walking, you're like, wait, is that my head or is that like out loud and all that stuff? And it's just some Viking mummy ghost going like, oh. What would they even whisper? What do you think a Viking mummy ghost would even whisper? And you got to do some sort of accent. I don't know.
Gonna get me a L.
You know what? That's a possibility.
What give me your best impression
of a Viking mummy ghost? A Viking Irish mummy ghost.
Irish Viking mummy ghost, yeah.
Irish Viking mummy ghost would be like.
Do you think they had Irish accents?
Yeah.
Or do you think they were like Scandinavian accents? Because they came over from other countries.
Oh, top of the morning to ya. Do. No, that had to be offensive. Yeah, I'm not sure what they would sound like.
I feel like my impersonation was pretty good.
I think yours was closer than mine.
Yeah,
I don't know.
1,000%.
I don't know if we're gonna go with pretty good, but definitely closer than mine was.
I feel like just the raspiness in my impersonation put it closer. Yeah, tourists who are standing near the mummified remains say that they hear murmurs in their ears, sometimes prayers in Latin, which that might be the creepiest thing that I could hear down in a crypt.
Yep.
Like Latin prayers. No thanks.
No thanks.
But sometimes it's just unintelligible chanting, and sometimes they hear their names.
Their names?
Yes, like the tourists will hear their names being whispered to them.
That is terrifying, because you wouldn't like. That would be like,
how do they know?
I'm going crazy, because you're not wearing a name tag.
Yeah, unless you are, but you're probably not.
I don't think. Name one tour of a city you went on, and they're like, all right, pop your name tags on, so the Scandinavian Irish mummy ghost can
whisper your name. No, you're right. One guide tells the story of a man who claimed to hear weeping from the far end of the crypt.
Ooh.
Nope, dude.
No, yeah.
Nope.
I don't. The more we talk about this, the less I want to go in there.
I don't know. I would go. But I also would have the fear that it's like just some prankster,
Yeah,
like chilling in the crypt
maybe.
and messing with people. So he insisted that someone was trapped down there, but when he and the guide investigated, there was no one to be found. But the man like swore that
It
there
was like I
was,
def heard it, bro.
yeah, that he
I
heard
def
like a
heard
woman
it.
crying.
Oh, and a woman crying.
Yeah,
That's like extra creepy.
yeah. Just yeah,
Yep.
all around bad vibes. I think
I
this
got
energy
goose
shifting
pimples.
is bad.
Yep.
Just bad.
Hella goose pimples right now.
Among the ghosts is a crusader. He sounds like such a badass dude. He's a 6'6" medieval warrior whose legs were
Whoa.
broken
Oh my
post mortem to fit him into his coffin. That's
Wait.
absurd.
Yeah, that's badass, but also too like, can we get a visual check on that? It's just some dude stumping around carrying his legs. They broke me legs.
You know that like Monty
Yeah.
Python scene? It's just a what is it? Just a
Oh, I forget.
just a scratch.
Yeah, just a scratch. He's got someone with coconuts like walking by and I'm like
His mummified body lies on display with outstretched arms, which is a gesture that feels unnervingly expectant. But also, weird that they would break his legs to fit him in the coffin and then display him with his arms out wide.
yeah, that's weird. Also, like, dude, just build a bigger coffin.
True.
Like, was this like you just went to the coffin store and it was like one size fits all, and you're like,
Probably. Also, people back then were like very small.
that's fair. That's fair.
So they probably made coffins and like didn't have the extra materials.
No, that's fair. That would be really funny if they just cut holes in the bottom of the coffin, so it's just like his legs are sticking out of the coffin.
Yeah. Talk about ways that I don't want to be buried
No,
in a crypt with my feet sticking out.
that would be. I mean, would you rather your feet sticking out or them just like, yeah, they had to chop them off and then like, yeah, you are just hugging them to your chest?
Weirdly, I feel like I'd prefer that.
I don't know if I would.
Just the thought of having my feet sticking out for
Dude.
eternity.
New coffin idea. It's just a coffin, but with a face hole. So it's just you get buried, but it's like your head sticking out, and then they like paint a face on you of like an expression.
They just do your makeup every once in a while.
Yeah. I
Visit-
don't think there'd be a big market for that.
You know, I have to agree. Visitors have reported that his eyes will follow you, and
Oh.
some say that they've felt his hand brush
He
theirs.
He won't follow you because he has no legs.
He has legs; they're just broken.
Yeah.
he has stumpy legs.
Oh man.
But others say that they feel his hand brush theirs when they pass too close,
Ooh, that's weird.
just gently caressing your hand.
Yeah.
A mummy.
The crusade mummies try to cop a feel. Oh man.
Other people swear that they see his arms move, which I guess makes sense if you're feeling them, the hand against
Yeah.
you.
fair.
One terrified teen screamed that she saw his head turn slightly,
Ooh,
as if it was tracking the group.
that's a tough one.
This dude's all around creepy.
I know. He's a little creepy. Little creepster. Yeah.
Tour guides advise guests not to mock or touch his remains because he doesn't
yeah.
like to be disrespected.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking a lot of shit right now on the couch, but the second we get there, I would just look straight at the ground and go, nope, not saying anything, not doing anything, nothing.
I'd just be so curious. It's a mummy.
Yeah. Would you go like touch him? You wouldn't touch him, would you?
No, probably
No.
not. I feel like it's more out of like respect than
Yeah.
like I wouldn't
No,
want
I agree.
people just like touching my dead body.
Yep.
Another couple of ghosts are Henry and John Shears, who were executed for their part in the failed Irish Rebellion of 1798.
Whoa. I'm actually going to talk about that too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So they were hanged, drawn, and quartered.
Jeez.
Brutal.
Hanged, drawn, and quartered?
So when they do that, do they hang you till you're dead and then draw and quarter you? Because like, what's the point in drawing and quartering if they're already dead?
I don't know. Yeah, they're like really trying to make a point about it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess it's like parading the body through the streets and stuff. Like they don't care because they're dead.
Yeah.
But also, it's like disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
It's said that they died betrayed and angry, and maybe the fury still burns with them in the crypt. Which, yeah,
Yeah. I believe it.
Yeah.
Math on that adds up.
Yeah. One visitor said that they felt a sudden pressure on their chest when they were near the brother's tomb, like an invisible hand was holding them back.
Jeez.
And then others say that there are flickering lights in the corridor, and cameras mysteriously stop recording.
Huh.
A lot of technology issues with ghosts, I've noticed.
That's fair. Can I draw a little bit of a skeptic point of view?
That all of that is debunkable?
Well, in this specific case, you're like deep underground.
Yeah.
In like things that are blocking all kinds of stuff. Like, I would potentially maybe attribute some of that to that. Maybe.
But feeling a hand on your chest?
No, yeah, you can't explain that.
A former caretaker claimed that he saw a shadowy figure pacing near the Shears tombs at night, but the building was locked and empty. And then when he tried to follow it, the figure vanished around a corner and into a wall.
Don't love that. Don't love that.
No.
Being a caretaker sounds like it sucks.
Especially of a 1,000-year-old church or whatever, like a Viking Irish church.
Yeah, no.
With a crypt underneath.
Yeah, it just sounds like a lot of hassle.
Yeah. And like, a lot of risk. It's a high risk business, it seems.
You're like, oh man, this is awesome. I don't have to work with people. I get to work the night shift. Like, really not much that I have to do and interact with. And it's like, no, yeah, you don't have to interact with any living people, but the ghosts are they're gonna give you a little bit of a run for your money.
Yeah, they're gonna fuck with you. So allegedly in 2019 there was a break-in where vandals broke into the vaults, smashed coffins, and desecrated the Crusader's body.
Whoa.
Like, why?
You're just asking for trouble, dude.
But also, like, just don't be a bad person.
Yeah, kids can suck sometimes.
You want to hear the worst part of it, though?
What?
His head was stolen.
No. Why'd they steal his head?
It was later recovered, but...
Yeah, because someone was like, oh, fuck, dude, I don't want a mummy head.
No.
No,
Yeah,
you
no.
wouldn't. You'd say that now. You'd say that now, and then you'd be like, nope, this thing is way... The first time nightfall hits and you have to live with a mummy head at night, you're like, nope, I've seen Night at the Museum. I know how this shit ends.
But again, for me, it's more so just I would feel bad. Like, I don't want my head to be on display in someone's house. Understandably, when the vandals did all that and stole his head and stuff, the vibes changed.
Yeah.
Staff reported an increase in activity. Doors began slamming. Tools went missing and were found in places that like no one would have put them.
Yeah.
And then one staff member who worked there for a decade abruptly quit, saying that it just doesn't feel the same anymore.
Wow. You steal a head and then just everything goes to shit.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And visitors have also reported a heavier atmosphere. One woman fainted while she was touring the crypt.
Whoa.
A lot of people have described feeling like they were being watched from all sides. So it's not even just like, oh, I feel like I'm being followed being watched. It's like
everywhere.
From everywhere.
Jeepers creepers.
And then some claim to have heard angry voices, which were louder than the usual whispers.
Gotcha.
And they were like furious. They weren't like, oh, like the woman crying. It's like, no, they're pissed off now.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Give us our head back. Yeah, that would be scary.
So it also has some poltergeist activity.
Ooh.
Objects have been...
What is poltergeist?
It's when, like, things move on their own.
Okay.
So it's when, like, a ghost, like, picks something up.
Got you.
Objects have been known to move on their own, including heavy chains, wood beams, and a centuries-old Bible.
Whoa.
Okay, a ghost moves a Bible. Does that make you feel better about that ghost or worse?
Depends on how they move it. If they're like, open it up and go, here's my favorite verse, or if they open it up to a page that's like, thou shalt kill.
But actually, isn't it a thing that like demons can't be near a Bible? Like that's why priests bring in a Bible for
Maybe.
like exorcisms
Actually,
and stuff.
I have no idea, but I could, the more I think about it, the more I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, so it's probably a good thing that a
Yeah.
ghost is
Because mad
interacting.
ghosts, one thing, demons, completely different ball game.
Yeah.
So.
One guide recounted seeing a rosary lift and drop from a hook during a tour.
Again, good or bad?
Again, I would say good. I feel
Yeah.
like if you're interacting with like religious items, it's probably like you're able to do that. So I feel like it's a good thing.
I think you're probably right about that.
Again, lights flicker. Candles will extinguish themselves, and tourists' electronics die suddenly. Even when going from full battery, they'll like just die all of a sudden.
Jeez.
Among the strangest phenomena are the reports of children's laughter in the vaults. There are no documented child burials in the crypt areas,
Yeah.
but like a lot of visitors, especially parents, claim to hear giggles or the faint patter of small feet. That's creepy.
Yeah, why would that be if there's no one? Do you think there was just like kids that like would play down there?
So that's just like in the visible crypt. Like there, you can't see any child bodies down there. But I imagine on property there's probably some kids buried.
Maybe. I could see that, especially with the history of Ireland.
One chilling tale comes from a father who visited with his 8-year-old son. As they exited the vaults, the boy turned and waved, claiming that there was a girl in a white dress standing behind his dad.
Nope.
But there wasn't a little girl in a white dress down there.
I cannot emphasize this enough. Fuck that, dude. Could you imagine? First off, like, okay, I'm kind of throwing shade on the guy. Like, oh, like, Tommy, like, we're going to go to Dublin. Oh, cool. Can we watch a soccer match or a rugby game? Or let's go to the Cliffs of Moher or the Blarney Stone, or let's go play golf, or let's go, like, to the Guinness factory. No, Tommy, I am bringing you to a underground, like, cavern with bodies buried in it. Doesn't that sound cool, bud? No, Dad, that sounds fucking awful.
Hey, he made a friend.
Could you imagine if the son was just like, this fucking sucks. How am I going to freak my dad out? Like, he made the whole thing up just to freak his dad out.
Oh, I believe it.
You want to bring me to a fucking tomb? Oh, hi, Mary. Who the fuck is Mary? Just
my friend.
Yeah, the friend she's standing behind you right now. Oh, fuck. Yeah,
You know what? We just debunked it.
There we go. We debunked it. Could you imagine? That would actually be so funny. One, that happened, but also just regardless whether or not it was a real ghost, it probably was a real ghost. Because I think 8 is probably too young to be mad at that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like 12, all bets are off.
Oh, yeah.
But like 8, I think definitely like just la-di-da-di-da. But the dad driving back going, shouldn't have done it. Shouldn't have brought him here. We could have just gone and watched a soccer game. Like,
it's like that saying where like if you don't want to have to do something, do it wrong a bunch.
Yes.
So that they won't ask you to do it again.
Yep.
Like if you don't want to go into a crypt again,
no.
Just have a weird fucking experience.
Yes. And then your dad is never going to take you to one again.
No. We've talked a lot about the crypts for obvious reasons, but the church above also has its own figures.
Whoa.
So people have reported a man in a long black coat and top hat sitting silently in the pews, which I feel like is kind of like calming.
Yeah.
But also, why is it always a dude in a long black coat and top hat?
Where did they get
where did these guys come from?
Yes.
I guess it was like the garb back in the day, but
maybe.
But like every single dude.
Yeah. I want to say half the ghosts we've talked about have been like dark shadow figures in long black coats.
Tall dudes with top hat.
Yes,
Yeah.
in black coats.
And I think we've said it before. You never hear about, like, Becky from the block taking selfies.
She died in apple bottom jeans and like she came back
and boots with the fur, yeah.
Oh man.
No, yeah, you never hear about, like,
Or someone that like died in like a Halloween costume and like comes back dressed as like a hanging Chad or
dude,
something.
Can you
like
imagine
that?
like dying in a sheet ghost costume and then you come back as a sheet ghost ghost?
That, I mean, there's somewhere that's had to have happened.
That would be legendary.
Epic.
But yeah, no, you never hear about like a girl who like choked on her DoorDash or something.
No, you're right. You don't.
So, like, why is that?
Oh man, that would actually be so annoying. Like just your apartment in suburbia, like it's like vacant because someone choked on their DoorDash. It's just anytime you turn on Netflix, like at night, you just hear like next to you, and you're like, oh come on, Becky.
She was going hard on that Panda Express Kung Pao chicken and.
Bro, I almost choked on my lunch today. I got a noodle stuck in my throat. Like, it went down. It, like, slipped. They were buttered noodles. It was, like, rigatoni. Like, one slipped a little too far to be able to, like, pull it back up. So I'm just sitting there, like, drink 2 bottles of water and a Diet Coke. And I was like, I think I'm fine, but I also am not sure.
Jury's still out.
Yeah, jury's still. I think I'm fine now because I also ate 6 meatballs after to, like, let me just wash it down.
Just shove it down there.
Dude, anytime I have like meatballs or like protein, I like force myself to get through the pasta or the grain first, and then like let myself enjoy the
yeah.
The
See,
protein.
I'm weird like that too. Where like if I have like let's say I have like steak, potatoes, and a vegetable, I eat it vegetable, potatoes, steak.
Gotcha.
Because I like to like enjoy.
Yep.
Like I eat it like from like what my favorite food
Sure,
is
that
to my
makes
least
sense.
favorite,
Well-
or what my least favorite food is to my favorite food.
If there is any doctors or people who fancy themselves as doctors who want to diagnose us based off that behavior, please feel free to leave that in the comments.
Yeah. I've got an idea, but other people report a woman in Victorian mourning clothes, which I would assume is just like a black dress or something.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
And she paces the church's aisle after hours.
Oh,
I wonder if they're friends. Victorian lady and top hat guy.
maybe they feel like they're in their own kind of world, though. So like, I'm not 100%
yeah.
sure. Yeah, like not 100% sure.
A cleaner once fled the church saying that he heard the sound of high heels on stone, but the building was locked and empty.
Oh,
It's got to be weird to be like a cleaner at one of these places where it's just like, you're just doing a job.
yep.
Like the caretaker, like you might have some passion. Cleaner, it's just like, nope, this is just a gig.
Yep. This is like one of 4 places I gotta clean tonight.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. So St. Michan's has a reputation for leaving a mark on its visitors.
Yeah. I believe that.
So that is the church.
There you go. What haunted or nah?
Haunted. 100%.
Yeah.
Crypts.
Yep.
Mummies.
Yeah,
Church.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in.
Probably haunted.
I can get behind that. I can definitely get behind that.
You think haunted as well?
I do.
Yeah. I feel like that's a gimme.
Yep. Agreed. Spirits up the wazoo up in there.
Off the hook.
Off the hook.
Just like that rosary.
Yeah. It was
Off the hook.
Yeah.
Dude, this the Irish coffee is like making my tongue tingle. Like it's like making the back of my tongue tingle.
Oh, there you go. It's relaxing the nerves.
Yeah, I guess.
I wonder how strong Daniel did it. Well, I guess you did the recipe. I think you just followed the recipe.
Yeah, I think he followed the recipe.
Nice. I'm curious to see how you like it with Bailey's next.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
It'll probably be like a little bit smoother,
Nice.
a little creamier.
Gotcha.
So, I will. I'll kill this and then refill, and come back at you with story dose of the evening.
Nice. Let's do it.
All right. Peace.
Burbs. We're back. How's the Irish coffee with Jameson taste?
You mean
Or
Bailey's?
Bailey's. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it is a lot like smoother, a lot less tingly on my tongue.
Gotcha.
It's a lot like creamier, and yeah, I definitely prefer it.
Nice. Do you know the backstory for the Irish coffee?
I don't. Do you?
I do a little bit. I do know. So it was actually Limerick, Ireland, was where it was created, which is on the west coast, and it was supposedly created at a place that was frequented by pilots, and it was a drink that got invented because it was a lot of pilots that did like the red eye from the United States to that part of Europe. Like they would either go through Limerick, like that was like a good like oh, you do the red eye, we're gonna stop in Limerick for the night, or like something like that. So a lot of pilots enjoyed whiskey in their coffee, hot coffee.
Yeah, I don't love that.
No,
I don't want my pilots drinking on the job.
I don't know. Like it might have more so been like they got in, they flew the red eye, they're in for the night. They want a warm coffee with whiskey in it. But my guess is there was probably some that was like, oh shit, I got to take off in an hour. Give me an Irish coffee.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, if you hear any background noise, that is my dog. So, apologies.
I think he's been pretty good lately.
He has been good.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. My story. I found this story really fascinating, so I'm excited to tell it. I feel like this happens every week where I'm like, I just get really wrapped up. I forgot how much I enjoy history and just like research and learning and stuff like that. So it's so cool to be able to do this. So I've been enjoying it. There hasn't been a single story that I have been like, yeah, I guess I need to tell a story. I'll tell this one. For the most part, every single one has been one that I've like heavily deep dove and researched and all that stuff. So
I feel like especially this week with like a European city,
yeah,
the history is just so rich.
Yep.
So it was actually a lot of fun.
It's off the chain, mate.
Oh, it's off the chain.
Don't your
From
Irish
Ireland?
your accent is don't get me wrong. I can't do one, but yours is not nearly as good as I think you think it is.
I'm from Dublin.
I'm excited for you to listen back to this episode and like hear it and go like, wow, that was not.
Hey, you know what? I have room for improvement.
There
That's
you go.
okay.
There you go. If we go back to
If we go back to Ireland, I'll work on my Irish accent.
All right, so I am doing the Kilmainham jail. Have you ever heard of the Kilmainham jail?
I have sure not.
Cool. Well, I am looking forward to telling you about it. It is located in Dublin. It was built in 1796. And when I first looked into this, when I first saw like, oh, like this jail, first off, like you see jail, you're like, that shit's haunted. So like I was immediately kind of drawn to it. But then after I started, it was funny because I got 4 sentences in. And the first 4 sentences into my research and like reading about it were it was built to be kind of a modern prison with some kind of like new ideas when it comes to prison. Instead of being like a punishment-based prison, it was meant to be restorative in nature. And you go,
That should be every jail, hopefully.
yeah, every jail, hopefully, but especially back in like 1796, you're like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
That's kind of a fun idea.
Super fun, yeah.
However, it was executed poorly. It was a jail that they just put anyone in that like ranged from petty theft to political revolutionaries, like, you know, rapists, murders, like, but mostly like debtors. So like mostly people that were in debt. There was children as young as 7. There was women. There was men. They literally put everyone in the same
7 years old.
Mm-hmm. And the conditions were terrible because it was so overpopulated. Where there was, like I said, children, women, men. Women weren't allowed. They weren't given cots. They had to sleep on the floor. They were given smaller rations. The children had to sleep on the floor. The men were given like straw mats and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a bad situation for everyone.
That sounds like hell.
Yeah. Definitely not good vibes. So it was funny because like I said, I was like, oh, you know what? Very fascinating. Oh, whoa, that sounds not chill.
Yeah. You had me in the first half.
Yeah.
And then you lost me.
I think the other thing that really stood out in my research is that this prison is really symbolic because there was so much history that kind of happened here, but also too the people that got jailed there had so much influence kind of associated with them. I don't know if you know much about the British Irish relationship during this time period.
Very little.
I mean, I
know it's always been like pretty tumultuous.
Yeah,
so.
that's what I was gonna say. I wasn't gonna get into a ton of specific details, but just all in all, like at this point, they were still very much looking for independence from England, and vibes were not good between the two. They were not big fans of each other.
Unchill vibes.
Unchill vibes, hella unchill vibes. So they were constantly trying to rebel and have rebellions and all that kind of stuff. So there was 4 of the bigger ones associated with Irish independence history that have really close ties to the jail. So there was the 1798 rebellion called the United Irishmen Rebellion.
That's the one that I referenced.
Yeah, exactly. The 1848 Young Irelanders Rebellion, the 1867 Fenian Rising, and then the 1916 Easter Rising, which has pretty infamous link to the prison. So I'll kind of get into all those. The Irish Rebellion of 1798 was led by Henry Joy McCracken, which, great name. Great name.
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes that I could make right now, but I feel like it's all low-hanging fruit.
Sure, that's fair. He started the rebellion shortly after he was released from Kilmainham.
Yeah.
Obviously failed. Failed rebellion in 1803. Had some pretty interesting ties to the prison as well. 1848, William Smith O'Brien and Thomas Francis Meagher of the Young Irelanders were jailed in Kilmainham following another failed rebellion. Then they were sent to Tasmania. The uprising of 1867 and its 1822 successor, the Invincibles, were jailed in Kilmainham. And then, so all those rebellions had steep ties to the prison because after everyone attempted these rebellions, they got jailed there. So really, like, there was a lot of energy. I almost like kind of compared to like the Bastille in France of like how there was just like there was such a symbolic view of this prison by the Irish people at that time. Right. So I found that very fascinating. There was a couple of people that were executed due to their participation in these rebellions. So Robert Emmet was convicted with his participation in the 1803 rebellion. So Robert Emmet was tried and convicted of treason, and then he was hanged on Thomas Street. So hanged, which or hung. Sorry.
No, hanged. Hanged is right.
Is it hanged?
Yeah.
Hanged or hung?
He was, hanged. He was hanged. Yeah.
Okay. It might be he was hung.
He hung. He was hanged.
Okay. All right. Well, he was both at on Thomas Street, and then after that, just to really drive it in there, they beheaded him and then paraded him around the city.
Well, there's no coming back from that.
No, which again, like you had a similar situation where you're like,
is it necessary?
Feels like overkill. You hung him. He's dead.
Yeah.
Let's just behead him.
Pretty sure his neck snapped, so I don't think that it needs to also be cut off.
No, it's crazy. So, it feels like there was a really big sense of the British were scared shitless that they were going to lose their stronghold on Ireland, which was right next door. So they're like, particularly ruthless, it seems like,
Yeah.
with the Irish people in their chances or attempts of seeking independence. So Patrick Pearse, James Connolly, Thomas Clark, and Joseph Pluckett were all executed in Stonebreaker's Yard, which was the courtyard of the prison.
Cool name.
Yeah. Joseph Plunkett, Joseph Plunkett was an interesting character because he married Grace Guilford very shortly before hours before he got executed in the prison chapel. And she is one of the ghosts that we spotted constantly at the prison. So I'm excited to get to that story. But yeah, the executions were brutal. And what was really kind of interesting and I think very telling of how tumultuous the relationship was is these executions were often done at dawn, like before people were awake and without ceremony. So I'd be like, oh, yeah, so-and-so's here. We killed them this morning. And it's like, what? Like, I haven't even had my breakfast yet. I haven't even had my morning potato yet. You're already out here killing people, dude.
My morning potato. Oh, I haven't had my potato. Potato.
So yeah, that was definitely something people got pretty pissed about. Was that just they were killing a bunch of people in the morning in Stonebreaker's Yard in the courthouse, or not courthouse, courtyard of the prison. Yeah. So it was officially closed and left to decay in 1924. So all this stuff happens, and then just closed. So it wasn't until 1960 that the Restoration Committee started to go, hey, you know what? Let's restore this. This is an important piece of Irish history, Irish independence. Let's get this thing back in shape so we can show it off, have it be a museum, have it be a place that people can go and see as part of their experience here. And that's when the paranormal experiences started to occur because they had people starting to restore it. They had people that were on the premises for the first time since 1924.
Energy is there.
Yeah, there's more energy there. There's more. I'm sure that all the ghosts were there and all the hauntings were happening, but there wasn't people there to see them, to report back and all that stuff.
If a tree falls in the woods and no one hears it, did it actually fall?
Did
it make a sound?
I don't know. I think that's the Irish coffees talking now.
Yes, I think it is.
But yeah, so as you could have guessed, there's been a lot of paranormal experiences that have happened here. So yeah, the first ones that I kind of want to cover are the executed rebels. So there was, like I said, a lot of executions that happened in Stonebreaker's Yard. So there's a lot of kind of sorrow that's felt there, like a lot of just like heavy energy like we've talked about. So very interesting. There's a lot of people that see or claim to see uniformed soldiers like in 20th century clothing. And then on top of that, people hear gunshots and cries, especially in the early morning, which is when these executions used to take place.
Yeah. Sounds like very bad vibes.
Yes.
Cries in the morning?
Yep.
No thanks.
Gunshots and then cries.
Yeah.
So
nope.
Yeah, because you got to think that they're executing all these rebels and people, but there's also like the guy that didn't pay his bills or the guy that stole bread or potatoes from
potatoes
from like Dunkin' Spuds or something like that.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of a clever name for like a fast food, but like you add potato into the name.
Irish potatoes.
Yep.
That's the name
That's
of the fast
really
food place.
Like a number one. Okay.
The Irish potato.
But yeah, so gunshots, then cries in the courtyard. So I found that very fascinating, very kind of compelling. The east wing of the prison, also known as the Victorian wing, is supposedly the most iconic and the most haunted part of the prison because think of it in terms of like traditional like cell block. It was like, the cast iron like staircases and then the multi-tiered cells. So it's like cell like floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, like that kind of setup. So there's a lot of stuff that people feel and see throughout that. So I mean the every sort of haunted, the stereotypical, if you will, is the cold spots. Everyone feels cold spots, or not everyone, but a lot of people feel cold spots even on warm days. So when it's like 100 degrees in this old prison that's never had air conditioning, cold spots. So definitely the the norm. Also too, like we've talked about, disembodied footsteps. So a lot of people walking, all that kind of stuff. Doors slamming shut, voices whispering and calling out names, sudden gusts of wind, and feelings of being watched. Which,
In the jail?
yeah, which that one I'm kind of like, eh. Like,
Drafts.
yeah, like drafts have, especially because you have large concrete structures, like
Yeah.
air it changes in there, which causes wind and stuff like that. So that one I was like, eh. Um, there was a guy that did report being physically pushed there while they were alone. So for what that's worth.
I mean, I feel like the fact that only one person has felt pushed in
So
this whole place.
one person, yeah. There is actually a very famous encounter of someone getting pushed.
Okay.
But in this specific, like in the East Wing, that was,
Okay.
yeah, like someone got pushed. Which again, I was a little skeptical. Where I was
I'm
like,
always skeptical of like ghost shows and stuff when people are like, "Oh my god, I just felt someone tug on my shirt." It's
Yep.
like, yeah, there's no fuck. There's
and
no
also too,
proving
especially
that.
you're by yourself. You're like, oh no, I got pushed. I can't come into work for the next month. But
Workers' comp.
but you have to pay me because it was the ghost.
Yeah.
So yeah, another very sad kind of ghost encounter that we see here is they call it the like phantom child. So it's a boy, it's a small boy that seen he he's described as appearing like lost, and people see him crying a lot. So my guess is just like a 7-year-old boy that stole something and got thrown in this prison by himself with none of his like friends or family, and just appears lost and sad.
Poor kid.
Yep. And you can hear his footsteps in the hallway, especially like late in the evening. So like because like kid footsteps sound very different than adult footsteps. So you can just kind of hear him like running along and stuff like that. And like I said, it's believed to be one of the many children imprisoned here for like petty theft. So yeah. Another famous, like I said, famous ghost that we have and see often is the ghost of Grace Gifford. Like I said, the widow of Joseph Plunkett.
The one who got married like right
Yes.
before his death.
So you see her often in the chapel. So she is seen in the chapel, just kind of wandering around and weeping. So they can say, or people see her kind of just wandering and crying, and then often singing softly in the chapel as well. And again, this energy stuff comes up very often. So it's a cold sad. It's described as a cold sadness when you're in the chapel.
That's sad.
Yep, it is. One of the more kind of famous encounters that's happened at this prison was Governor Dan McGill lived in the old warden's quarters when it was being restored. He was overseeing the restorations, and you can see the chapel from the warden's quarters, and a light would flick on in the chapel. He would walk. It like once you get there, I guess it was described in the way I was reading it, where it's like you can see it through the window, but then you gotta like go around and like you lose sight of where the light was during that walk. He'll go, it's off. Go, the fuck, the light's off, and then he'll walk back, see it again, go off, and he did like that like 3 or 4 times, and it was just off every time he got close. But then whenever he got back to the warden's quarters, it was back on.
I feel like it would be fun to fuck with people like that.
A little bit. A little bit, but I think that's a very like compelling story. And then yeah, he finally he went back and forth, and then he finally just gave up. Was like, fuck it, it's haunted, whatever.
Yeah. At a certain point, it's like, what's even the point?
Yep. So yeah, definitely like A lot of footsteps because of the type of space it is. You can hear a lot of footsteps on staircases, just like all over the place. I think the very interesting one that you can hear that's unique here is the soldier brigade. So they hear a lot of footsteps in the soldier like kind of marching pattern and stuff like that.
Were soldiers stationed there?
Yeah, because it was a prison.
Right.
So it was a lot of like that was who the prison guards were soldiers,
Okay.
like British soldiers, especially because it was like a rebellion prison.
Yeah, right.
So that was really interesting when I was looking through. There was another one that I found really interesting too was Cell 25. There was this mysterious Cell 25 that no one knows the backstory of. Just guards, people that like workers, tour guides, like people refuse to go in it. They're like the energy is so off in there. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's like that, but I'm not going in there.
So when we go to Dublin, you and I are gonna sleep in cell 25.
I don't want to go in Cell 25.
After we go visit the crypts.
I wonder.
St. Michan's Church.
This sounds like a terrible trip. I wonder.
Dude, you can golf the next day. You'll be fine.
My thought with that is maybe that was a prisoner who was like actually a pretty bad person was in there. Or maybe he like killed people at the prison or something like that. I don't know. I started to speculate of like why that cell had such bad energy.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what I got to.
But I feel like if there was like a high profile criminal who was in there, they probably would know that, and like that would be like part of the lore.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's weird that there's no like explanation behind it.
Yeah, I agree. And then our last and kind of final pretty infamous story was about if you couldn't guess, the dungeon of all places that were haunted. This guy was volunteering to paint like and restore some of the like painting down in the dungeon, and he was painting, yada yada yada, singing about things, whatever. I don't actually know if that's true, but just if you're in a dungeon painting by yourself, you're definitely humming or something.
Yeah.
And he was in the middle of painting, and then all of a sudden, a invisible force pushed him up against a wall and like pinned him there and held him, and he had to like fight to free himself, and then he just booked it up and then refused to go back in the dungeon ever again.
Okay. Or, as the skeptic, maybe he just was like, I don't actually want to do this job. What's a way that I can find some sympathy from the people that hired me?
The one thing that might poke some credibility in that theory, he was a volunteer.
Yes, so maybe he just like got bored of it and he was like, what's a way I can get out of this?
I can pretend that some ghost like WWE'd me up against the wall.
If you're at a like notoriously haunted jail and you're like, how do I get out of this? What is the obvious choice there?
I guess. I don't know, man.
The ghost pinned me up against the wall.
I feel like
I can't go back in there. You gotta hire someone else.
You know what? I might disagree with you on that. I think there's a chance that was a real encounter that happened.
Maybe.
I mean, it's the dungeon, dude.
Yeah.
It's the dungeon. Where are you going to get pinned up against the wall? A dungeon.
I would think in the dungeon.
In the dungeon, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's kind of my takeaway on that whole situation. But, so, yeah, that's the jail. Would it haunted or not?
I'll go haunted. I don't buy that. I don't know. There's just something about that. The dungeon story I don't buy.
Okay. But the rest of it?
Yeah, and also I'm not sure how much I like buy into the ghost factor of the light's on in the chapel. I got to go check it out, and then it's off, and then it's on again.
Okay.
Like I think that might have just been a prankster.
Okay.
Like a person pranking him. But other than that, I feel like this place has such a like crazy history. A lot of bad people went through there. A lot of people died there.
Yep. Executed,
like brutal stuff. Important people like revolutionaries.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely haunted. I do think like there is a unique energy that I don't think can be replicated in most places when you're talking about like that revolutionary spirit.
Yeah.
So if this prison was a hotbed for that revolutionary spirit, but also to tragedy and sadness and like inhumane jail conditions, like those two mixed together, I think the energy is absolutely prime for hauntings
Yeah. Yeah. And the kids.
and the kids.
I feel
If
like
you throw kids
kids.
into it too,
Yeah.
you're like, it's definitely haunted.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids tend to push things over the edge for me
I completely agree.
in terms of hauntings.
Yeah. So, well, that's Dublin.
Dude, we just traveled to Dublin.
There we go.
Dublin.
Dublin, Ireland.
Ireland. Oh,
From
they're after
Ireland.
me Lucky Charms.
Oh man, if we have any Irish listeners, I feel like they're gonna come at us pretty
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
for
Don't come
for
for
our
us.
stereotypes.
We're also Irish.
Yeah, I don't know if we're Irish enough to be
Well,
coming
like
at
we're
it
not
this hard.
from Ireland, but our
No.
families are from Ireland.
Yeah.
So we can make these jokes.
Yes. You know what? I think you're right.
But also, they're after me Lucky Charms.
Oh man, cool. Well, yeah, no, I thought that was a good one. Definitely, if you're enjoying listening, please like, subscribe, follow. We're up on it pretty much every platform now.
Give us a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, that would be huge.
Um,
Follow.
Send in your personal stories to spiritsonspiritspod@gmail.com.
I really hope we start getting some of the. I mean, okay, and I said this in earlier episodes. I actually hope we don't because personal stories are gonna freak me the fuck out from people.
But
it would just be really cool if like we could get that level of engagement and get people involved. Like we want people to feel like they're part of this show.
yeah,
And I think that's the coolest way. Like we wanted like our to kind of give you a peek behind the curtain. We want to start doing like specific episodes that are encounter episodes. So yeah, like we'll still do the weekly episode where we have the city that we travel to, but on top of that we do a second episode where we just bring up your guys' encounters and stuff like that. I feel like that'd probably be a pretty fun episode because like it's just gonna be you. I think our format, and we actually haven't even talked about this. This is the first
I was
time talking
thinking
about
the
it.
format should be me telling the
Yes.
personal stories,
And just me
and you freaking out.
the fuck out
Yeah.
on the couch. No, I think that would be hilarious
Yeah.
for everyone to listen to.
Yeah, you hearing it for the first time, being like, "What the fuck?"
Yes. No, I think that would be an awesome concept. So
Yeah.
I hope people start sending us stories because I really think that would be fun for the listeners to. I'm laying on this. I'm being a martyr, or laying on the sword for this because I think the viewers would appreciate it. I think it'd be funny for you, but I would definitely
You'll
be
lose sleep.
losing sleep over this. So
I will not, but you will.
Yep. So
All right. Well, we'll see you next week with
Yeah.
another episode.
we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.
Peace.